All right. How are you doing out there? I'm Howler Mouse, and this is a little bit of a haul video. I've been pretty busy traveling. Ended up going to the Dublin Flea Market. That is in Dublin, Virginia. They have that twice a year, and I found a few things. And then between, I don't know, the beginning of September and now, I ended up hitting one comic book shop, one card shop, picked up a little here, picked up a little there. And as far as this goes, there probably will be a smaller video at some point. All right. And before we get right on, that's my cue right here. John has popped up. Uh-oh. Did I freeze? All right. So we have John here, and he says, "Hey, Heller Mouse." John is like, the person who is should be your role model, right? Make sure you thumb it up and make sure you're subscribed like John is and hit that bell so you know when I do these things, right? Normally I do Sunday mornings, but we're going to be busy tomorrow, so we're doing it this afternoon. Thanks, John. John is subbed. He hits that bell. It gets him an alert. And then we always want to thumb it up and, subscribe. Thank you, John. All right. Look at this right there. All right. Right back at you, buddy. Okay, so for you people in the future, it is September 14th, 2014, and we are going to show some comic books that I've gotten for, cheap, very cheap. And we got a little, and like I said, basically somewhere on the line, I'm going to start doing smaller videos. Check out my 2024 bookshelf tour videos. I have part 1 and 2 up. And there's another video somewhere in between those that I also have up. Check that up. They're doing pretty good. And for the new subscribers, hey, thanks for being there. You guys are making my channel do really good. My back catalog is doing fantastic. I am getting Tom Bagley is the main guy, but I'm having quite a few people going back in my catalog at least a decade and stuff, and leaving comments and talking about things. I'm rediscovering videos that I have zero memory of making. So check out the older stuff, man. That's a lot of comic book history. And I'm like right on target. I'm giving you, the background information on like Justice League Detroit because how bad it stunk. And when I was rewatching it, man, it was like so cool to see all the things come out of the back of my brain to the forefront of celebrating Gary Conway's career and all that stuff like that. So anyway, it's been doing really well. Thanks for the new subscribers. And like I said, I'll start making a few more videos and get things going here, right? So we're going to bring in Comic Cam for you new subscribers. Comic Cam actually has his fans. So we're going to bring him in because he shows us the comics, right? So here we are. We actually are going to start out with some coverless comics of all things, if you can believe it, right? I got so many funny ideas I would love to do with this split screen stuff. That would be so funny, right? So basically, I was in the Bobin's card shop in Bluefield, Virginia. He got a fantastic, huge haul of comics. Um, I think I made 2 visits as I could, where I kind of went through some things. He had a lot of great Bronze Age comics from this one collection and stuff. And these are sort of the leftovers, the coverless comics. And as I was sitting there digging through one of the old boxes, I heard him say that he's going to give these away. And I went, well, I'm here. I'll take coverless comics if you're serious about giving them away. So I got some really cool stuff here. Now, I have coverless comics from when I was a kid from the Stepdad's collection, right? I have no problem having these, right? And to be honest with you, oh my God, what was it? 2011, 2012. I had Daredevil #2 from the Stepdad's collection, the original Daredevil #2. No cover, and the splash page, the first page, half of it was ripped. And in the first page, you have the Fantastic Four busting into the law office of Matt Murdock, talking to the secretary because he's their lawyer. Yes, Matt Murdock was lawyer to the heroes back in the day, right? And anyway, I put it on eBay just to play around and see what it would come to. And a bidding war erupted, and it went for a whole $18 for a coverless comic from the Silver Age with half the splash page gone. It was very entertaining, very exciting at the time, right? So what we have here is these go all the way back to the Silver Age, but we have one here from, I believe, 84. This is Green Lantern 190 from 1985, right in the midst of Crisis going on, right? But yeah, cool. This is when we had John Stewart come in, and Hal Jordan was more or less sort of out of the. He gave up being Green Lantern. We had John Stewart coming up. Little did we know that later on we would be having Guy Gardner popping up as also. But what's cool about this is the backstory. We get a backup feature, right? And this is a part two of Insect Trust. And what we have here is some great Kevin O'Neill art for a background story, or where we have our little alien. We have an insect war, and we have our little grasshopper Green Lantern, if you will, right? So the whole thing is insect theme and that inhuman look. Yeah, I like this better. Yeah, I like this take better, right? So yeah, so now I have right there. Look at that. We have some bees. So it's not just Cyber Frog fighting alien hornets or whatever is going on over there. But anyway, yeah, just some fantastic stuff. Great, just a little time capsule going back to 1985. And these, I had these toys. I had Demos, Hercules, and the Warlord. It was fantastic. Yeah. And we have a character that I actually Grant Morrison brought back on his run on Green Lantern. We have a Green Lantern that is so alien that his head is an exploding volcano, just like in a Rolling Stone song, if you will, right? Talk about phallic. So anyway, yes, a great backup feature there. Then we have a known soldier from 1979. Those war comics were all over the place. And then we have some strange adventures here from 1971. I think I have this one with the cover on it actually, but these are probably like reprints. This was my bread and butter. This was the stuff that I would sit there and read with all the older comics. This is how I found my Atomic Knights in the stepdads and the uncles collection. They would always have backup features that were reprints. It's where I found Adam Strange, Space Phantom, all that great stuff in those. This is great reading material. Some more war comics, Sergeant Rock, Strange Sports. This was an oversized edition where they collected a whole bunch of sport themed stories that were really weird. So like I said, the 60s were probably heavily influenced by probably a little bit of acid and a lot of marijuana. But by the time we got to the 70s, I'm like, cocaine was definitely a hell of a drug. Another Strangest Sports. And then I have these, but it's kind of cool to have these right there. I can see it, but we have Forever People number 9, some Kirby goodness. I think this is the Demon number 4, Jack Kirby Demon number 4. So now I can just sit there and enjoy the art and love them. Brave and the Bold, 93. We have some Neil Adams from 1971, 1970, I believe. Batman in the House of Mystery, that issue. I sold that a couple years ago and kind of regret it. And then we have the Green Lantern from 1971. Oh my God, what issue is this? It's right on the tip of my tongue. But this is where they just found out that Speedy is a junkie, and this is the issue after that iconic one. What is the number? Oh, number 86, Green Lantern 86. So yeah, we've got a little, this is where, this is the run where we had, Oliver Queen go, full liberal of the 60s and 70s, completely different than what liberals are now. And of course, the thing about the hippies was that a lot of things came out. A lot of the hippies were basically acting nice, and they would, little domestic violence going on there, right? So yeah, this was the heavy stuff, right? Cracks me up. We have Conan number 9 with some Barry Windsor Smith stuff. Spider-Man number 109. This was my bread and butter. This was the comics of this era right here, the early 100s and stuff, was what I kind of bit into when I was like about 6 or 7, all that Gil Kane stuff. So yeah, we got a little Rawhide Kid, Two Gun Kid, whatever, some Western stuff. Reprints of Kazar. 1970. This is number one of some reprints. And you can see you have some Kirby goodness there of Kazar and the X-Men going on there. This. I thought this was actually the first appearance of the Molecule Man. This is actually Marvel Collector's Classic, where it reprints a few things. And it's the whole Jack Kirby story of the Molecule Man. A little Steve Ditko Incredible Hulk, another Marvel superheroes reprint series. It's got many things in there. A little, war comic there. And then we actually have Fantastic Four number 66, I believe. And then we have some early issues of the X-Men, where I had to look these up, but I think this is like issue 16 or 17 or something. Excuse me, right? This should be this is Fantastic Four, where they meet the X-Men. So this is what? I'm trying to think, 23 or 24 or something. I'll have to look it up. And we have some fantastic Archie Goodwin, Barry Smith, Frank Bruner, Marvel Premiere, Doctor Strange stories from 1972. Then we get some X-Men. We actually have X-Men from 1966 here. Oh my goodness. Number 26 of the X-Men. One of my favorite characters that was underrated for decades until he popped up in the Exiles. But we have Re-Enter Mimic, where he pops back up. So this is number 27 of X-Men. And first appearance of the Master Mold from the Silver Age, right? So now that you've looked up some beat up comics and stuff like that, let's get to the good stuff, right? The things where they're all together. But I enjoy this stuff. I really do, right? And I'm going to hold off on a few things here. So we, kind of get a few more people, there's some more people in there. But along the way, I'm somewhere, I think I got these in the same card shop. I think I got these for $10. But there was in that comic book collection I was going through, there was a whole bunch of DC Best of DC Digest and Blue Digest books. I absolutely loved these when I was a kid. I still have the adventure comics that I had, and a few of them that they put out back then. So if you're going to spend your money, you really might want to get this one. This is the DC Blue Ribbon Digest, Best of DC Digest, number 61. 148 pages, and this is the best comics of the year. Even though it came out in 85, it's the best stories that DC had put out in 1984. And this is just gold. This is gold. Because I have quite a few of these actual issues, right? So as you can see, it has a fantastic cover. These things are just absolutely fantastic. And the winners of the, and you can see it has a wraparound cover. And man, I am such a child of this era, right? But on this cover, we have the Atari Force, one of my favorite books that it's a guilty pleasure. We have that era of Teen Titans, where Marv Wolfman and George Perez were just nailing it. We have some Green Lantern, some Swamp Thing, some Blue Devil, the Legion of Superheroes on this cover. And we get Swamp Thing, the anatomy lesson in this. They reprint all the issues. I'll show them to you. So this is where, everything took off for Swamp Thing with Alan Moore proper. Superman, if Superman doesn't exist, this is where Superman, some people messed with time. And we have two kids from Cleveland, Ohio having to invent a superhero to fight the alien invasion that's going on. So we get to see children that are basically Siegel and Schuster inventing Superman to save them. Legion of Superheroes, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, Blue Devil, Viva Nebros, which I had that. I didn't know that was like considered a great story. That's like issue 2 or 3 of the Blue Devil. Teen Titans, Who is Donna Troy, which was fantastic. We get our flat out a little bit noir where we get to see Dick Grayson's training that he received under Batman, where we get to remember that they are detectives. And we get to see Wonder Girl's an idea. Well, let's just put it this way: it's where he tries to track down Wonder Girl's origin and identity, because that's been a big mystery. And then Atari Force Babe story, which, if I remember, this is the issue that will just tear your heart up a little bit. So we get the issues that they came out in, the numbers. It's Legion of Superheroes 308, Sergeant Rock 391, Action Comics 554, Swamp Thing 21, Green Lantern 177, Teen Titans 38, and Atari Force number 8 and all this. And this is just fantastic, right? I always kind of wondered how I knew about some of this stuff, and we had these all over the house too. Like I said, I still have a stack that were personally mine. So you get all these fantastic stories. You have compact comics going on now that are the size of a manga, and you can pre-order Kingdom Come right now. Alex Ross and Mark Waid. I can pre-order it and get it for 35% off of $10. But I sit there thought that that's just so small that it wouldn't, even at manga size, it wouldn't do it justice. So having these little digests and stuff, they make the compact comics look huge and stuff, right? So this is just fantastic, right? Just easy peasy reading here, right? We can get the backup features. That's fantastic. Yeah, but Who's Coming to Dinner is basically Colossus, if I remember right, Colossus Boy. His mother is actually planet of Earth or president of Earth, right? And he's bringing home a dirty, nasty Durlin, shape shifting Durlin. I mean, how dare he? And he's bringing her home to meet the parents and the mom and stuff. So we have a little social commentary here with xenophobia and things like that. Great stuff. Great stuff. George Perez art. Just, I love these, right? The Atari Force story. Maybe make a little video of that at some point. It's good stuff, guys. Good stuff, right? And then we had another digest from around the same time. This is number 64, where we get a bunch of Legion stories. I'm a huge Legion of Superheroes nuts, and this is one I always kind of wanted to read. This is from 1984 as well. Superman's battles his weirdest villains and stuff, right? So that was really cool to find. But like I said, this one right here, I have tore this up. You know what I mean? Like, and I think they came out with one of those every year in digest. The best stories at DC for that year. So those are the best stories from 1984 in there, right? Okay. So something else that I found these, and of course, by getting them out to show them, I ended up messing one up, but it didn't really affect. Well, you'll see what I'm saying here. But what got me thinking about this is I had to. I have a bill or two that I still have to go to the post office. You know what I mean? And so while I was there, I looked up at the display, and at the post office, they came out with these collector set of stamps of Dungeons and Dragons, guys. And how I said that, from like about 84, 85 ish to about 1990, a little bit 91, I played D&D. I was the second system, if you will, right? So they came out, and we have some fantastic little collector stamps here of Dungeons and Dragons. And apparently they were selling so well, they just gave me the display set here. They took them right off the desk, pulled them out of the protective holder, and yeah, got a little bit. The one that got me was that image there. The fact that that is a stamp. You have your Dritz, who apparently came out right when I quit. So I had no idea that this series of books were popular until I was dating somebody years ago. So you got dragons and mazes and labyrinths, so that was kind of cool. So, I store them in this. I should be storing them better than this, but I'm not worried about it. So, what does that got to do? Why am I showing stamps, right? So, we come up to here, and this is what I've collected over the years. I kind of forgot about some of these, but by getting this out, I ended up messing this one up. But you see, it didn't affect the stamp. But this is from 2005, right? The superheroes got some. I used to have the Elvis stamp somewhere also, but we have these iconic images of our superheroes. Jim Lee. Can you imagine being Murphy Anderson, Kurt Swan, Bill Cole, Carmine Infantino, Gil Kane? Uh, is that Matt Wagner? Yeah, Green Arrow. Supposedly Bob Kane, Joe Kubert, more Gil Kane, more Kurt Swan. Flash and stuff like that. But could you? I mean, this is when I would think I made it as an artist when my art was put on a stamp. I don't know why that's so cool, right? That's from 2005. This is from 2000. Is this 10? 2014. Way off, right? So I got the Batman stamps. These are forever stamps. Also, I could use them. I could still use them, but we go through the eras of Batman. You know. See, what is that? That is the Bob Kane. That looks like Dick Sprang. That is Dick Giordano. And Jim Lee again. So those are very cool. And then this is possibly my favorite since you were here. I'm probably have to make a separate video for this, just for these stamps. But these are 2010. I knew I got a set in 2010 because I remember where I was living at. But I went ahead and I got these Sunday Funnies. So yeah, immortalized, if you will. Dennis the Menace, Garfield, Archie, Calvin and Hobbes, and Beetle Bailey. I got to tell you, man, the Calvin and Hobbes, that's the one that got me because you don't get a lot of merchandise, if you will, outside of the books and strip by Bill Watterson. So that was a great honor for Watterson and for all of them. So yeah, there's just some superhero stamps, guys. Let me put them up before I screw them up. Kept them mint, and then I bent a corner just by pulling them out the other day. Okay, so which way do we go here? We want to see some more comics, guys. We'll go ahead with. I kind of wanted to save this to the last because I'm absolutely loving these. But I got on. You can get on Amazon, right? Dark Horse Comics. I'm looking up here, man. I kind of found out. I mean, I sort of knew this was going on, but Dark Horse Comics is reprinting the classic titles, EC Comics titles, educational comics, people. That's what they were, from the 50s. To me, it's the 50s, even though some of these probably bled into the 40s, late 40s, and you're putting them out 6 issues at a time in one softcover trade. I do believe there's a hardcover option, but I've yet to see that in my pre-orders. So basically, I went to Heroes Con last year, 2023, ended up getting two of these trades of a different series for $5. I mean, for both of them, and they're $20 trades and stuff, right? So I am finding them, pre-ordering some of them for 35% off, and then I'm playing around on Amazon. I did a video, did Amazon destroy my books and stuff, where I'm finding them for super, super, super discounts. And there's even additional discounts sometimes, like there's a $2 coupon you can use at checkout, right? So my wife has the Amazon Prime in her name. There's no reason for two of us in the same house to have the same Amazon Prime. So I asked her to get these, and so yeah, this I think this was like $11 for 6 issues of Weird Science with some great Wally Wood art and things like that one. This one is issues 7 to 12. This is volume 2. So while she was ordering this, I was busy doing something, and then all of a sudden she was like, "Hey, there's a hardcover for $30." And I'm like, "Well, the soft cover's fine." She was like, "No, I know you. With these comics, you would like the hardcover trade." So I'm like, "All right." Now I said, "I'll pay you, on payday, the difference and stuff." I already gave her some money for these, right? And then this came in, right? This is the dust cover. I opened it up, and the dust cover was a little bit damaged, and I just assumed this was from Dark Horse. And then I started looking, right? It's got the forward by George Lucas. This is volume 1 of Weird Science. Also, one of my favorite John Hughes movies ever. And I started looking, and this was amazing because I was like, wait a minute. That's not Dark Horse. This is from 1992, guys. This is the Gemstone. I think that's who it is. Yeah, the Gemstone. Yeah, this is the Gemstone collection from the hardback from 1992. That's a big deal, guys. So, at least in my opinion. So yeah, we have the hardback. The actual book is in fantastic condition. And it turns out it wasn't coming from the Amazon warehouses, right? This came from a Goodwill, right? This was a Goodwill purchase. And I was actually all like, oh no, it's a Goodwill. I was expecting to get in here and find it in horrible shape. Turns out this thing is fantastic. This thing sells from $75 to $120, and I got it for $30 with a slightly damaged dust cover that can be flattened out, a little bent up there, right? And this has one of my favorite stories. Where is it? The Last War on Earth, I think, is one of my favorite ones. These stories probably won't blow you away unless you know EC Comics. And The Incredible Shrinking Man is one of my favorite stories ever. And they have a story here called Lost in Microcosm, where a man just keeps shrinking and shrinking, going in from microverse to microverse, right? And that's a pretty iconic image right there. I've seen that image a whole lot when it comes to EC Comics. But yeah, this is just such good stuff, right? Oh man. Anyway, great to have those. My wife made a great call. She knows me so well, and that was just a great surprise when it came in the mail. Hello, Paolo. How are you doing now? Paolo and I, guys, for the four people who are here right now, well, three plus Paolo. Paolo and I will be doing a show in the future. As I was traveling back from this flea market, I'm going to show you the halls. He messaged me, and we had talked briefly before about this weekend doing a different kind of Watchman video, if you will, talking about things you don't see people really talking about too much, the supplements in the back. Paolo sent me a thing where he was busy with some family stuff, and I went ahead and did this. So in the future, there will be a live show. So make sure you're subscribed, and we're going to be taking a different take on the Watchmen a little bit there. Right. All right. So since I keep mentioning this, I ended up at a comic book shop. I don't want to name the comic book shop right now because with my math of what these books should have cost, I go cheap, and a lot these should have been dollars, $1 each. I ended up getting charged $10 more. But when you see what I have, I think it's just a slight misunderstanding of either there was a price on one of the boxes I looked in that wasn't apparent, or maybe it was supposed to be understood, or they just made a $10 mistake. I'll be bringing it up. I had the electronic. I paid for the books, got in my car, drove down the road, and then when I stopped to eat or something like that, I was checking my emails to do my budget, and I should have checked it before I left. It was $10 more, but I still got some really cool stuff here, guys. All right, so Solo Avengers, right? I think this series only lasted 20 issues. I was in. You get two solo stories with Hawkman being the Hawkeye being the main feature, and then the second feature would be a random Avenger getting a little solo story. And I tell you what, there was like this really cool story of Mike W. Barr of DC fame, Camelot 3000, Batman the Outsiders, Brave and Bold. Uh, messing. It was kind of cool to see him pop up doing a Marvel story, and the backup feature was Hank Pym. And all of a sudden, I'm like, he writes better at Marvel than he does at DC, is what I thought. But this particular issue, I wanted. I followed the series until it wasn't on the stands anymore. Probably got the first 14 issues. Little did I know that there's only 20 of them made, and then sold them somewhere along the line, probably to my brother or something. But this issue in particular, I told you it was probably issue 14 was probably the last one I did. You see, this is direct market. So I don't know. I think it may have went direct to market at some point completely. I don't know. But anyway, what's the point of this one besides having a fantastic Kevin Nolan cover? You're going to see a theme here. But it also, you understand, I think we're into 1988 or 89. I think it's 1988. And we have this solo Avenger story starring She-Hulk versus Titania. So I was in. I was already a John Byrne fan. I was already a She-Hulk fan, and all that stuff. I don't think the series had Sensational She-Hulk was out yet, or may have been getting little hints and stuff here. But this particular story, the talent on it just had to get me. I mean, who knew that Batman the Outsiders would have such an influence on this, right? But in this backup feature, we have the talents of Alan Davis and Chris Claremont coming in for a cool few pages here. So, of course, I had to have this, you know. I remember reading it, and when I saw the cover of this, first it was the fact that I do believe that is Kevin Nolan or somebody like it. Sandy Plunkett, excuse me, Scott Hampton and Sandy Plunkett, but it's Kevin Nolan, like in my eyes. And look, there's that image that was on the stamp. I love when all this comes together, the stamp that I showed earlier, right? But anyway, some great Alan Davis stuff at Marvel, showing his comedic chops there, if you will, right? So this was very cool to find. And the Marvel Action Universe, if you had syndication to see these cartoons that came nowhere near where I lived, so had to have that. And yes, that is a Wonder Woman you see with a weird haircut for her. She's got a little bit of a bob going on. I don't know what's up with that, right? I don't remember this. I was well past Wonder Woman at the time. Getting this, Walt Simonson, Jerry Ordway. If this was the creative team and I knew about it, I would have totally bought this. But this is from 2003. And apparently there's a run of Wonder Woman where Adam Hughes was the regular cover artist. and stuff like that. So for $1, of course, I'm gonna get a Adam Hughes Wonder Woman cover, even though it looks very weird. But talk about seeing this one and being like, ooh, ah, nice pinup art. You know, great stuff right there, right? So we got a little Adam Hughes Wonder Woman going on. And this here, I couldn't believe this was in a dollar bin or supposed to have been. But this is Ghost Rider number 56 from the Bronze Age. Good grief. I don't even know what year this was. 1981, not as far back as I thought. I could have swore it was the 70s. These were scattered throughout my house when I grew up. I remember I probably still have it, but of course they were coverless and beat up and stuff, even by the time I got them. But I have one that has to be Mike Plug art or something, but we had Ghost Rider. He was outside on somebody's house. He was raising hell, and he comes to a swimming pool that actually had a ladder with a diving board, and he left a trail of fire as he went up the ladder, off the diving board, over the pool, turned it into hellfire everywhere and stuff. And I just remember being a kid like, well, that's not nice. So anyway, but I think this is a key book. I think this is the appearance of the new Ghost Rider, the Western version of the Ghost Rider, right? I think this is a first appearance of maybe like the second one or something. We're going by I don't know what is that 42-year-old memory now, so I remember having this in the house. I'd seen it, and I also remember by 8-9 years old I was already critiquing the art now, because I'd already been doing this since I was like 4. And I remember thinking, well, why do they have his back to the reader? I did not like how they had Ghost Rider's back facing us. I was like, no, you don't do that. I was like, thought that was rude. And here's where the discrepancy may have come from. Okay, let's get just a little closer. Let's talk about this, right? So this is the Gene Colan Marv Wolfman Tomb of Dracula series from the 70s. Holds up today. The artwork, oh my God, is unbelievable. My favorite inker, Tom Palmer, on Gene Colan and stuff, right? So this is issue 62 and 61 that I found, right? I was like, I cannot believe these are in a dollar bin. These are the ones that I think may have been $5 a piece, but weren't listed. As you can see, there's no price tag on them. That's why I have a problem. I was like, I asked. They had some comics that were priced, and I specifically asked if there's no price for the $1. They said yes. I gotta let it go. I'm a cheap bastard, right? But this series, I had some of the beat up comics that are left over from the original series and stuff, right? But I'm never going to forget, probably around 2013, I probably talked about it in one of my Hillsville, Virginia flea market videos. But I had gone through the whole, I'd blew my wad, man. I'd gotten great stuff. I got Hellblazer #1 for $5, and I had all these comics I found for 17 cents a piece or something. It all kind of merges in my head and stuff. But anyway, I'd reached the end of the day, and I was like done. I'd gotten there early. The sun was coming out. The place was super crowded. It was time for me to go. I'd spent all my money. And as I was walking towards this one booth, a kid that I bought some comics off of yelled at me, and they brought another bin down, and I opened it up, and it was for $1 a piece, or even probably a better deal. It was like 30 issues of mint copies of The Tomb of Dracula. And I was like, I was broke, man. I was like, no. It didn't dawn on me I was so tired and so hungry, it just didn't register to go to a damn ATM. And it probably was like a mile away if I had to walk to one uphill both ways, probably. So anyway, I have an epic. I'm thinking about getting the series through Epic Collections. Marv Wolfman did some really good stuff on there. Really set a mood. Okay, so I have this one, but I'm considering this an upgrade. Oh, here we go. Paolo's on there. 40 issues it ran. It was renamed Avengers Spotlight midway. There we go. That makes sense. Yep, Solo Avengers. 20 issues probably, and then Avengers Spotlight, and ran for another 20 issues. There we go. That's my guess. That's my educated guess. So so they had a real nice for $1 a piece. They had a real nice run of this. God, what is this, like volume 4? But anyway, it's 2008 Green Lantern. And this book this is one of those runs that, in my opinion, is classic that Jeff Johns did, because it led to places. First, we had the Green Lantern Rebirth, and then we had Jeff Johns easing him back in, let's reestablish who Hal Jordan is, what the Green Lantern is, put him up against Batman, brought in a little bit of an issue or two of Golden Age Green Lantern, and played around with things. And then by the time we got into the 20s of this, we got the Sinestro Corps war that came in, right? And that thing was laying the groundwork for Blackest Nights, basically what was going on. And in the midst of this, with issues 29, we get, we see the ramifications a little bit of Hal Jordan where he was parallax and stuff, right? There were Green Lanterns that died in space without knowing what was going on. Things like that were going on, right? So they established some of that, started bringing in new characters. But issue 28, like I said, I had this whole run now, but issue 28 before this was what I thought was the first appearance of Atrocities, the Red Lantern that everybody absolutely loves and stuff, right? But apparently it's issue 29. So I'm going to have to go look at this. I actually had my CLZ app out to see if this was a key issue, the little run I was looking at. So yeah, we'll look at this. I think it's his origin probably of what we had here. And I could not believe these were $1 a piece. There is a key in here, right? Okay. So I already have these, but mine are probably, I read mine and I have the entire Legends crossovers. They were nicely numbered, but this came out about a year after Crisis and they were reestablishing the DC universe, reintroducing characters. As you can see, it's drawn by John Byrne. I think this is actually loosely based. They took the plot of a Bible story in this one, but basically it's Dark Side backed. Gilbert Godfrey. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna get my comedian and my Dark Side New Gods character all merged in my head. But anyway, highly influential. It's a character who, when he speaks, he's able to influence people, and he comes off like an evangelist. And it's all about the whole world, more or less, turning against the heroes. Just to move on here, right? But anyway, this was like leading up to the Justice League, and the Suicide Squad would come out of this. And Amanda Waller came out number 1. So I have all the ones that I read back in the day with all the crossovers. So with the Suicide Squad movie coming out years ago, before James Gunn got it, this book was a big key, and everybody was going after it. I don't know how many times I was trying to redraw these figures and stuff. This series actually had me sit down with typing paper at the time, is what it was, and I drew my first comic, and it was all castles and wizards, let me tell you, right? And I kind of ripped off the John Byrne hair here on Beast Boy, if you will, right? So these were $1 a piece. These are just to have upgrades in there, and they still smell like 1986. Excuse me, 1987. It went from late 86 into early 87, right? I absolutely loved it. This was a great time to be collecting, in my opinion, to be a kid. You had this, you had Craven's Last Hunt, you had John Byrne going on Superman. He's popping up doing a little Batman here. You had the new universe going on. I mean, you had the Avengers Mansion getting raided by the Masters of Evil. Such a great time. So much good stuff. Thank you. I'm very tired, guys. I got up. I left the house by 5 in the morning to go to this flea market. Glorious Godfrey pretending to be a congressman. G. Gordon Godfrey. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Legends is actually the first time I had contact with the fourth world. All right, now I hope you washed your hands and was wearing protection, Paolo. That place, Apocalypse, is nasty. Just let you know. Okay, now this is the flea market haul from this morning, right? And I tell you what, man, I got to be real careful here because it's a crapshoot, man. Okay, there's nothing like getting up and going out, spending a little gas money, taking your time. I had breakfast with my buddy Josh. If you're watching, when you're watching this on the rewind, what's up? Before I went to the flea market, he was actually getting off work. By like, I don't know what it was, 6:30, we were in a McDonald's eating a little bit of breakfast and talking about YouTube and comics and stuff like that, right? But anyway, I've noticed like over the years, like I nailed it a couple months ago at a flea market. It was worth it. But I went to Hillsville Flea Market to get something like $20 worth of all right comics. This place is a little bit closer, things like that. And this is the stack I got. So I'm kind of wondering if it's really worth putting the miles on the car. I enjoy it. It's good to walk out. I get my 6,000 steps in within an hour and a half of me doing this and stuff, so it's good to get out and see people and stuff, right? But anyway, this is what I ended up getting. Some of these were $2. A majority of these are $1 a piece. One book is $3 a piece. And then in the midst of all this, there's books that they were $2 a piece, but I got a deal to where I think I got everything for $10, right? So anyway, I had to really kind of decide if I was going to get these or not because they look great, white cover and everything like that. The pages are starting to yellow a little bit in this with age, right? But Sergio Argonis, guys, I don't know if you realize this, but he is either 84 or 87 years old now. And I think he has consistently been putting out work, my God, at least through 67 or 68. That's the Mad magazines that were in the house. I specifically remember them being from the late 60s. So Sergio Argonis, man, I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands of pages because he's that quick of work and stuff, right? And he had the idea of Gru in the 70s, but they didn't really have really good deals to where you got to keep the trademark, the copyright. You get to still own the character. So luckily, Epic Comics popped up at Marvel, and they cut him a deal. And after this thing had started at First Comics, or maybe it was Pacific Comics. I had the first appearance here somewhere. I think it was Pacific Comics, guys. Anyway, he ended up carrying after a few little one shots here, maybe an issue or two here and there. But Gru kind of blew up at Epic Comics, at least in my middle school. Okay, you know what I mean? Like this was everybody was sorted down for this. Everybody would get a random issue here and there, right? Even the muggles, the normies and stuff, right? So a couple months ago, earlier in the summer, I looked up and got the last issue through at Epic Comics. Is Gru the Wanderer number 120. That's the one that like blew up the last couple years because of the low print run. It was considered the last issue, even though he took it to Dark Horse, where I think it's at now, and he also took it to Image. He and Mark Ebony are busy people. So Steve Sakai does the lettering on this. In between his feudal Japan book, if you will. Anyway, but I found these for $1, and I'm like, I might as well just keep going. I think I'm going to be able to get a full run of this without really even trying. Where's the box? I got a box here of the Sergio Aragonés stuff, a short box and stuff, and some humor books, which count because he did some pages in Plop as well. So anyway, issue 98, poor Rufio right there, of that one. Number 100. These are fill-in. These are I have a nice little long run here, and there was probably like about I don't know 20 Gru books there, and I just got this handful because I had the rest of them. Right, issue 100. I want to take a minute to actually look at issue 100. Because this is a really nice shape. I was very happy with this, right? So you come here to the back, and I love when he does stuff like this. Nobody can fill a page up like Sergio. I mean, there's just nothing like it. This is tons of the characters that have popped up over the 100 issues of Gru. Okay, well, he just blows my mind how he can just churn this stuff out. And then just for fun, he gives us a maze. And if you cannot see this, it's Sergio has drawn himself in the book, and he's telling you have to go down the ladders like in a maze, find the ladders that still work that aren't broken, and get Gru to the top. Where's he at? Gru is here somewhere. Anyway, but yeah, he made a little game on the back cover. He did not have to do that, but I guess he just put out so much stuff, and this is in beautiful shape. So very happy about that one. Again, I would really like to find people who are into this, actually read a lot of the books and stuff, and are into Gru, and just have Gru talk sometime. That would be great. Issue 104. It's good stuff. Getting into a little Greek myth here, apparently. It looks like he's fighting a matador, or maybe a man just wearing a bull hat. I don't know. 105. And if I remember right, you rarely he did it there towards the end. There's one about the gods here. Something Power of the Gods, book 3. But anyway, we got Man of the People, part 1 of 4. it wasn't that often, or at least it felt like it to me, that we had a multi-parter. A lot of these were one-shot books. Okay. And then we have this, the Whitman variant. It is in Mylar. These were the books that were supposed to be $2 a piece, but I got some kind of deal on them because the guy was really cool and I was talking fast. I was moving along, right? But yeah, this is Battlestar Galactica #1. Um, and it's the Whitman variant. I love that. That is so cool. And then I got this from another dealer, but I wished I'd gotten this off the other guy. This was $1, and then he was charging $2 a piece. But this is #2. We're going backwards, and it's a direct edition. And yeah, I could have gotten, to match #1, gotten the direct newsstand here, right? But yeah, this is Terry John Byrne and Terry Austin in 1982, I think, doing the Adventures of Indiana Jones. Now that is not news to people, right? And this is a beautiful copy of #1, and that's a Terry Austin cover. He drew that. John Byrne scripted and drew, and Terry Austin inked the first 2 issues that I can tell here, right? But why's that? Why's that a big deal? This is old news, Tim. There's people that know this. This isn't like some obscure trivia. It is to me. Okay. I had no idea John Byrne was on this. And also, I got to remember when it came out. I was like 9 years old and loved, don't get me wrong, I loved Raiders of the Lost Ark and stuff like that. But I loved the movie, don't get me wrong, but I was hooked on like Dark Crystal and Blade Runner at the time. You know what I mean? I wasn't really interested in getting licensed properties. That's not what they were called, right? I had an allowance. I just had some here, right? And this is where the deal came in. He had this in there with the $2 books. And like I said, this was a very nice man, right? And you can go on my Facebook, and I think I printed this. I think it came up in my memories the other day, but I think like as far back as 2010, I was telling people I wanted this promotional poster. And I finally got one, right? I found it on eBay, finally at a good price. Then here I am after I get one, I find another one, ended up getting this for $1. This is what started the deal and stuff, right? But this is a promotional poster from Zero Hour where there is a story. This is the cover to a Man of Steel issue, Man of Steel, Superman Man of Steel, the book by Louise Simonson, John Bogdanov from 1994. And where time is getting messed with, John, the artist, drew all these versions of Batman, just like the original artist did. You have a Neil Adams Batman on here. You have a Bruce Timm Batman, Frank Miller Batman, Kelly Jones Batman, Carmine Infantino Batman on here, right? But here's what's cool. This was not a book. When you flip it over, he did the same thing with Batman. He flipped the script. We get a Batman, but we get all these different versions of, we get a Cary Gamble Superman, Joe Shuster Superman, not Dick Sprang, Wayne Boring, Kurt Swan, um, oh my God, John Byrne. Who else is on there? We get a Neil Adams one, Barry Kitson one. I mean, he really dug down deep, different versions of those, right? So it took me forever to find an affordable one of that. And then when I get one, I turn around and find one for $1 at a flea market years later. Man, that was cool to find though, right? All right. Okay. And we're moving along pretty good, guys. We're gonna eat some dinner. We got to shower and eat some dinner and get ready for tomorrow. I still need to go to the gym. So another thing in the 90s, that was the other video I did. Go check it out. But I did the best reads of the 90s. And there's things I could have added. And I asked for people to add theirs on. I could have went on and on and on about the books of the 90s in the video I did, right? There is some good reading and some great things that came out of it. And I set up parameters. Any book that started in 88, 89, even if the majority of it ran through the 90s, like Sandman, I didn't include. And I didn't include books like at the end of the decade, like JSA, because it came out in 1999 and it ran through a majority through the 2000s. So I didn't, some parameters, right? But this is a book because of the glut of comics that were coming out and trying to find the good stuff and having, a budget and being cool about things, right? Like I said, I've always sort of had an aversion towards licensed properties that's completely gone. I think that's probably been gone for 15, 20 years or something, right? But are these X-Files books from Topps, Volume 1? They are absolutely fantastic. I'm working my way through getting them as I come across them. And it seems like I just don't find one or two. It's feast or famine, right? I will be out in the wild looking for these. I won't see them for months, and then all of a sudden I'll find a box and there's like 15 of them, and there's like three I don't have, or anything like that. So anyway, I'm glad to be getting the earlier issues out of the way. I can't wait to get the later latter issues out of the way, where I'm hoping the print run gets smaller. But yeah, this is number 6. These hold up. If you like X-Files, you will like these books. If you like comics and comic stories and stuff, it's going to vary whether you like them or not. I would test the waters, test it out. Okay. But like I said, it's pretty much straight cases, from what I've read so far, multi-part stories. And apparently I got a direct edition there or something here. Here's number 5, number 6. These are in Mylar. And then I found these. I did not try, I did not watch Xena. I had a buddy named Richard who hardcore watched Xena. He actually ended up becoming my roommate. Thus, I ended up watching some Xena, right? And when I come across these now, I like it takes me back to like trying to find old gold keys, or seeing some old gold keys in the house in Dell Comics, where you had the photo covers of the man from Uncle, if you will. So yeah, I now have this whole miniseries. This is 0, 1 through 4. Roy Thomas writing this, and it's got a bunch of artists on it, right? Roy Thomas, Chin Lanning, Amanda Palmer, Amanda Connor. Amanda Palmer is on Twin Peaks, people. Like I said, I'm tired. Jimmy Palomiti, tearing all that up. Like I said, it's not a Howler Mouse video unless we have technical difficulties, something crazy happen, or I fuck up a name. But anyway, yeah, the photo covers, I'm so down for those, stuff like that. So yeah, I have that whole series now, right? And this was a pleasant surprise, right? So to understand why I get excited about some of this stuff when it isn't a big deal, I totally get that. Um, I avoided the X-Men like the plague. I've said it many times. For years, I was very cantankerous. Okay, whenever like something was popular or hot, or I heard people talk about it, I went the other way. You know what I mean? I went the other way. So I heard about Teen Titans. I picked up issue 13 and 14 or whatever it was, because it had Doom Patrol in it. I was like, who are these guys? I've seen them like in little ads or mentioned and stuff, heard talked about, never really read them. And then the other book was the X-Men that everybody was talking about, right? And like I said, I had a friend named John who, while I was reading the stepdad's older issues, my first X-Men book was X-Men, I think number 3, the first appearance of the Blob. Um, I had the Dark Phoenix saga was, getting going and stuff, right? I had a friend named John who was a huge fan of Neil Adams, and he was a huge fan of the X-Men, and he showed me the Phoenix saga and stuff. And then he ended up having a heart attack at 16 that very summer and stuff, right? So I always associate an era of the X-Men, the John Byrne, Chris Claremont stuff with him, even though we are 43 years later, or whatever it is, right? So anyway, what drug me in, kicking and screaming? I had an issue here of X-Men. I had an issue there. I think what was it, September of 1983. I got Legion of Superheroes number 300. The same month, I got an X-Men issue where Cyclops is fighting an octopus. I dabbled here and there, right? But it was the Asgardian Wars and Art Adams and the New Mutant Special edition that came out with the that set off the Asgardian, continued their Asgardian Wars. Let's just put it that way, right? The Asgardian Wars, to where I was all in. All of a sudden, it was like I was in. I'm like, I'm reading X-Men. So yeah, I came in around 194, I think. Right. Next thing I know, they're fighting Doctor Doom in like 197 or something, and Secret Wars 2 hits, and then we have the Morlock Massacre, and it was over and done with, right? And then as things progressed, we ended up getting Mark Silvestri on there, Kerry Gamble, Rick Leonardi on there, right? And then in 1993, all the way up to Jim Lee. Anyway, I accumulated over something like an 80 issue run of X-Men. I had multiple copies of some of them. I finally figured out why I had some of these books and some didn't and stuff, right? And then along the line, I didn't get rid of some of the X-Men books going back to the scattered Paul Smith stuff that I had and stuff, right? But yeah, that 194, 95 on up to John Romita stuff. I kept some of the Morlock Massacre stuff because I had multiples of those. Anything that had something to do with Follow the Mutants, the big crossovers. And I ended up selling them, which had the first appearance of Gambit in it and stuff, 266 and all that stuff, or whatever it was. I ended up selling them all the way up to like issue, I don't know, after Claremont left. That was part of the reason I was so easy. It was so easy for me to get rid of them. He left in '91, and I accumulated maybe another year's worth and stuff, right? And I sold them, and I remember them fondly. I had a good time. The Mark Silvestri art, so it was kind of cool to start kind of replacing these. And these are the fill-in gaps with some of these books, right? Issue 223. Kerry Gamble, Tom Raimi, there's certain artists that I'm like, why did they not have more classic runs on things, right? I want you to look at Kerry Gamble's art in this issue of X-Men. Great artist. He ended up popping up at Superman, and after that, I don't know very much of what he did. I'm sure he probably did some Robins or Superboys or something, right? But yeah, there's a handful of artists that I'm just sort of like, why are they not? Yeah, why are they not? You know what I mean? But yeah, issue 223, we're playing around, getting close to Storm having her powers back. Long Shot came in on the team, and they're in Australia, is what's going on. They're building up for them going to Australia after Follow the Mutants here. 224, and this is why I went ahead and got these books. This little tag here of Excalibur is coming. This was such a fun time with these books. A lot of people are like, my X-Men ended in 1980, what was it, 85, 86 with the Morlock Massacre. And I get it. I get that the whole everything changed there. I get it. I get it. I totally get it. But it's I wasn't too invested, and things were just really heating up and getting really cool with these artists and getting Excalibur with Alan Davis on there. Um, oh man, just some good stuff in this stuff, right? The Reavers, playing around with the idea of Ghost in this one. Storm has her powers back. First appearance of Goblin Queen. This is probably my third or fourth issue, but this is definitely an upgrade. These books are in fantastic shape. With Inferno coming up there, and then been replacing my Jim Lee issues here and there. Now, thank goodness there was, like I said, there was issues I kept. The Mandapore issue, where the classic issue of X-Men that Jim Lee drew, where we have two concurrent stories going on. Of course, Logan has memory problems, but he actually he was in Mandapore and worked side by side with Captain America during World War II, saving a very young Black Widow, if you will, right? It's a classic issue and stuff. Luckily, I kept that one. But anyway, this is, Jim Lee was just a beast on this book. I have a comic scene where they had a spread of the X-Men that I think was supposed to be released as 3 separate posters that connected. That had a huge effect on some of the layouts and stuff that Jim Lee was doing. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, there is a point in time in history of when you are a superstar artist, when they let you break the boundaries of your comic, when you're able to break out of the panel. Okay, so that's what I knew that Jim Lee was a star, is when they let him bust out of the panel. Okay, Todd McFarlane was on his way to making that a common thing, but I felt like that was a thing back then. This is the first fight between Wolverine and Gambit. After 11 issues, and I don't know, he's been around less than a year and stuff. I think they finally met or something. I can't remember. I got to read this. But yeah, some great stuff going on here with these books. This is one of my favorite issues, actually, because of all the artists they bring in on this, right? John Byrne back on the X-Men with a Chris Claremont written issue. That was a big deal to me, right? But in this one, you have Will Spertatio, Mike Golden, Jim Lee, Klaus Janson, John Byrne. Oh my God, so many people. Larry Stroman. Who did I miss? Klaus Johnson. Well, I think I got everybody, man. Tons of artists on here, and this is in the winding down of Claremont will be leaving sooner or later, right? And let's see what's up. We got the comic collector here. Nice to see you. Just doing a quick run. I'm exhausted. I'm like, let's do this. Um, so anyway, this right here, I'm a Kirby nut, Jack Kirby nut. I actually get a little emotional sometimes, because these Marvel movies are out, and they started out having the Kirby in them, and through that phase 4, you just saw Kirby being absent from those things. I'm like, you idiots. But anyway, this is an Action Comics that it came to my attention earlier in the year. This is number 638. I think it's from 1989. And this is when they had gone weekly. And after Byrne had left and went weekly, it had Roger Stern and Kurt Swan doing some Superman stories. It's an anthology series that had Secret Six in it. A new Phantom Girl popped up. I saw that key issue where there was a new Phantom Lady. Excuse me, Phantom Lady. Phantom Girl's with the Legion of Superheroes. You had a new Phantom Lady come up with a Dick Giordano cover on that one. But anyway, there was a point in time where we had Alan Grant coming on here, and he was doing a demon story. And this particular issue, I thought I had Jack Kirby's last work at DC. It was a DC Comics Presents that I bought off the stands with the Challengers of the Unknown, right? Well, apparently not. It was this one. He just did the cover with the demon on it. So it took me weeks and months. I was looking for it. I thought it was hugely overpriced online. I still think that. And I finally found one a few weeks ago. And then I turn around and I find another one, much like the poster. This is how it happens, guys. You know what I mean? It took me forever to complete my Starman run, right? As soon as I did that, I'm finding complete runs for $1 a piece. Over the years, I'm like, they all need a home. And then here we are, right? And speaking of Phantom Lady, I had to get this Kevin. No wonder he was on my mind. This Kevin Nolan. Let me make sure it is him. Yeah, Kevin Nolan. Fantastic cover. I actually remember seeing this on the stand. The thing about this is where this Action Comics came out weekly and stuff. Believe it or not, the spinner racks around here, around my hometown as a kid, they weren't getting them all. There was a lot, they were backing up. I'm assuming this is why, but they were clogging up the spinner racks. They all weren't selling, right? But this is a fantastic headlight cover by Kevin Nolan. I absolutely love Kevin Nolan's style. When he inks somebody, I will get that book. Okay. It was so good to see him on Tomorrow's Stories, at least getting some regular Kevin Nolan stuff in the anthology series Tomorrow's Stories through Alan Moore and ABC Comics years later. But yeah, I love his stuff, his style. And I don't know if that was supposed to be suggested or not with her holding the rod of the Action Comics Weekly of the A there and stuff like that. But these were known as Headlight Comics, guys. That's where Phantom Lady kind of thrived and survived back in the 40s and stuff. And then I had to get this, okay? I did a big purge of my Swamp Thing stuff, right? Was it Martin Pascal? Bless his heart, right? The saga of the Swamp Thing comes back out, right? And then it was because of the movie coming out, right? And we have some great artists on this book, right? But this book, the first year and a half, was just atrocious. Even though we had people like I think Tom Yeats, Steve Bissette, John Totalman, and stuff like that doing some great art on it. That's why I hung on to the issues. But they were just horrible to read. And then we had Alan Moore come on. Kept a lot of the same artists and stuff, right? So I got rid of these and stuff, right? Then I'm like, I should have kept the number one. So I got rid of it, got another one, got rid of it. And then I had this huge trade for some Moon Knight key books, if you will, Marvel Spotlight from the 70s and stuff, to where I ended up, I talked about it. I got a bunch of non-Alan Moore Swamp Thing books, a little bit of Mark Miller, Grant Morrison Swamp Thing books, and some Nancy A. Collins. I just gave them to the kid, and I'm like, I should have kept number one. So I found one for $3, put it back, walked around the flea market, and before I left, I went, I'll go back and get that for $3. Open it up, thing is creamy white, fantastic condition. So yeah, I'm gonna keep it. All right, I can't just keep boomeranging towards this, man. I'm a grown man. So I think that's a great place to end some of this stuff, man. Good stuff here, man. All right. So I appreciate everybody popping up. Comic Collector popped up. You buy it for $5, find it for $3, and it'll be $1 next time. Absolutely, guys. Yeah. All right. So anyway, thanks for everybody that popped up here and hung out with me on this Saturday afternoon. For you people in the future, I'm going to say it again. It is September 14th. We are ending this at 5:27 in the PM. I'm gonna get a little dinner. I'm going to the gym tonight. And I got things to do tomorrow. And Paolo, man, I will message you. Maybe we can get together and do the Watchmen thing that we're going to do, man. So anyway, everybody, be excellent to each other. Read your comics and share, like, and subscribe, man. Let people know there's, you know, you know. Some people out there still like to look at their comics and read them a little bit and stuff, man. So later.